Hi, I'm Ron Nutter, and welcome to another edition of Tech Bites with Ron Nutter. This time I'm going to show you how to have alternate remotes for your Nvidia Shield for when hopefully you misplace or lose the remote or it just quits working. And that starts now. For those of you who've been watching the series I've been doing with the Caavo and showing you how to different ways of using the Nvidia Shield, and it seems like the video that I did on browsing the internet with the Nvidia Shield has been very popular. Really appreciate everybody watching that one and those who subscribe to the channel, because that tells me I'm heading in the right direction, because I'm just trying to help you all. And I've got quite a few more videos already planned out. If you have anything that you'd like to see done or have questions about, please reach out to me. I'm doing my best to get the questions dealt with and keep the videos up and going. Now, this time we're going to talk about the Nvidia Shield Remote. And I was checking today, and to lose this little gem is expensive. According to what Amazon was showing today on their website, just this remote is $50. That's right, folks. It's $50. So you may want to put a bungee cord or something else on this one, because I know Nvidia's got to make money doing this, but more than $50 is a bit much. But that's their decision, and that's what Amazon's selling it for. So there's several options here. You've already seen the one, and this is the I'll call it the RI or RII. I'm not sure what to call it. This is the Bluetooth keyboard. Now, this can be used to control the Nvidia Shield. Now, for that to work, ideally, you should be getting this paired before you lose this. Now, the saving grace is that if you have misplaced this, there is another way to get in. But anyway, this is about half the price of this. Plus, to me, this has got a whole lot more utility use to it, because you got the full QWERTY keyboard here. Especially if you start doing things such as internet browsing, where you're entering URLs, especially long ones, it's going to be a lot easier to deal with this. And I'm also looking at some other things to do that I'll be trying in the coming weeks that makes the Nvidia Shield even more valuable to have as a part of your smart home. Like I've said before when I talked about this one, built-in battery. You charge it through that USB port right there. And although the battery is not user replaceable from what I can tell, for $25, I think your time's well worth it. If this battery ever quits taking a charge, just go get another one of these. So that's easier, an easy way to deal with it. Now, the other option is for the different streaming receivers I talked about. There are software apps that you can put on your smartphone or your tablet where you can control the Nvidia Shield that way. And the pairing with this one, at least with the Nvidia Shield, unlike the Apple TV, you can do, from what I've tried, it looks like you can do this without having to have the remote present. Now, you will have to get the Nvidia powered up, but that's not that hard to do. So if this one goes bye-bye, or you have battling remotes, this one is well worth the hassle. Now, one thing, and I seem like I'm going back and forth, and I apologize, I don't mean to. This one uses a CR2032 battery. I've just found some pretty good deals on Amazon tonight, because I've got one that's got to be replaced in another device. And for about $4 or $5, you can get 3 or 4 of them. So if you can time that with another Amazon purchase, you can save yourself some money, because the CR2032s are fairly common battery. At least Nvidia did use that on this one. So it's not like a special battery, or it's a sealed one. So you've got this as an option. This is $50, but at that point, I have a hard time paying the $50 when I can get this for about $25, roughly half of that. So it's, if you want the full Nvidia experience, then yeah, you probably need to go get this. And it does have the mic input on it so that you can talk to Google Assistant. So that's a plus. This obviously wouldn't have that integration, so you kind of have to compare the two. And the Android TV remote is just a very basic one, but I mean, for the most part, it's probably all you really need. Now, here's the wrinkle in the shed. You've been seeing me talk about the Caavo HD remote. Now, here's the interesting wrinkle. Yes, the Nvidia Shield does support Google Assistant. This supports Amazon Echo. So it's an interesting flavor there. Now, with the way the integration works, you could just press the mic button here, and you should be talking directly to the Google Assistant on the Nvidia Shield. But on the other hand, you now have the option with this to be able to switch devices. So if you want to switch from your Nvidia Shield to your Blu-ray, you could simply hold down the button and say, play Blu-ray, and Nvidia and the Caavo would sit there and take that and switch inputs. So all you do is have your inputs set up, and then you can't really rename them that I found yet, and maybe that's the thing that the Caavo is going to work on. But this is a very good option to consider. So there's some decent options here to look at. For those of you listening on the podcast, I'm sorry, I wish I could describe these better. But you know what the little stick remote for the Nvidia Shield looks like? $50, that's about like paying $80 for the Apple TV remote. I mean, I know that they probably won't sell a lot of them, but that's, I don't think it should be that high. A little bit less maybe would be nice. Certainly the keyboard, and because you've got full mouse support on here with a little trackpad. So when you're using a web browser, this really is the way to go. The software apps, and I've got a link to one in the description. Decent one, very functional. So that's worth the consideration too. And if you're stepping up to where you're going to have multiple devices and you want to have some central control center, then the Caavo is certainly well worth consideration, because then you start getting interesting options with controlling multiple devices. And this does, like you see me talk about in the previous video on the Caavo, does give you full integration into the Nvidia Shield. So there are some pluses that way. So really, you've got some decent options here to consider. Never hurts to have one of these as a spare, but I would definitely say out of the gate, if you're not sure about doing the keyboard or the Caavo remote, then certainly when you're first getting it set up, go ahead and take a few minutes, get one of the apps. If it's not the app that I've got highlighted in the show notes, certainly the one that will have, that I've got in there is at least a starting point. Have that today so that you've got at least an option already sitting in the wings. So that brings us to the end of what we were going to talk about this time. And we've got some other videos planned. Thank you for everybody who's watching. If you have been looking at the Caavo, I mean, I'm now in a little over week 2 with it. Very pleased with it. There's some quirks that I found, but that very well could be some of me. And I've got a video where I'm putting the steps together of all the lessons that I've learned along the way. Really, it's very straightforward to use that. Nvidia Shield is definitely a full-featured Android TV OS, so that's also a good option to consider, especially that way it gives you almost like having an Android tablet right on your TV, so you can't get much better than that. So appreciate your time. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, would appreciate if you could do so, and then click on the notification icon. That should get you notified of all the updates as I put them out. Typically I'm going into the weekend when I do it. Seems when my scheduling works out the best. If you have anything you'd like me to try, please let me know. If you are if you'd like to listen to the video while you're traveling, if you go to techbiteswithronnutter.com, I've got that available on iTunes, Google Podcast, Stitcher, TuneIn. I've tried to make it as easy as I can to do those, so you can have it wherever it's easiest for you to consume the content. And then if you decide later on that you want to get into some of the details, I also put up in the show notes on the podcast website all the steps that I've talked about here, and just make it as easy as I can for you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again soon.